welcome back to Mornings with Luann and Tim. January is Alzheimer's Awareness Month. So, joining me on the show today, we've got two segments for you to start things off. I've got the Executive Director of the Alzheimer's Society of Sault Ste. Marie and Algoma District. It's Terry Caparosi. Welcome back.
Thanks, Tim. Good morning.
Good morning. And I have Carol Gunn with us. Carol, you're the, what is your title this year for the walk? The honorary honorary walk chairperson.
Yes.
Honorary walk chairperson.
Good for you.
Good for us. And Carol, you're a person with lived experience.
I am. I have two lived experiences. One with my brother Rob, who walked with frontal temporal lobe dementia in his early 50s.
Wow, that's young.
Yes, and lived until he was 69.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And now myself.
Yourself. Mm-hmm. So you have, I've been sitting chatting with you for a while. Don't think I'd ever figure out that maybe you had any problems with memory or cognition or anything. So. Well,
I have been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment after strokes on the brain, and the risk is a vascular dementia. But I've been living with this since 2014.
Wow.
So I think that's pretty good.
That's pretty amazing.
I'm amazed at it too.
Wow.
I'm glad.
My mother had dementia, and so we accessed the Alzheimer's Society as a family. It's immeasurable, the support they can give.
That's right.
I always say that knowledge is power, right? Mm-hmm. So important to know. Uh-huh. So what are some of the different things you've done with the Alzheimer's Society as far as taking advantage of their services?
You know, the services, I have to think back to my brother Bob Snooks. When he was in his early 50s, we didn't know where to go because he was gambling. That was a type of dementia. Personality and behavior disorder was his problem, but no doctor would look at us. And so it was the Alzheimer's Society that helped us through those years, and then when he was 59, he was diagnosed with frontal temporal lobe dementia.
It took that long?
Yes, it did. I think things are different now.
There's more awareness?
Yes, that's right.
More research has been done too.
That's right. And so we had lots of help from the Alzheimer's Society, and he was working at the time.
No kidding.
He was working at White Pines, and we had lots of people come and help us. Wonderful. In particular, we had a wonderful gal from the society that went to White Pines and trained all the people that were working with Rob in the care staff. And it was delightful to see because they all understood what was going on and how much help he needed. He could still do the job, he just couldn't follow through.
Now, Terry, that is a service I had no idea that could ever happen. Tell me more about, or tell us more as an audience. It is Alzheimer's Awareness Month. What do we need to be aware of?
It's so true, Tim, and that's one of the reasons we do what we do is you hear stories like this. The support that our staff provide to people in our community is just incredible. You know, and some of the good news stories sometimes, and you know, when people get a diagnosis of a dementia-related disease or Alzheimer's, some people automatically go to the end stage. There's a lot more to life when you get a diagnosis, and what we're trying to do during this month is raise that awareness, break down that stigma around Alzheimer's disease, and people can actually live well with dementia, and that's why our staff do such a wonderful job at supporting the person living with the disease, but also their caregivers as well.
Now that's a big point you have there. You've raised a great point, and as a matter of fact, your caregiver, your partner, your husband, Bill is here.
Yes.
And so has Bill also attended Alzheimer's Society with you to learn about how is best to support you?
Yes, he has. He will drop in, he will call, and we have a caregiver support group meeting in Bruce Mines that he was attending for a while, and just being able to share with other people what's going on and how we can get help and how we can get through the day.
Sometimes some of the best information comes from other people who are living the same experience.
Yes.
Although it's never the same experience, is it, Terry?
It's not, and I know that we've talked about this before. When you've met one person with Alzheimer's, you've met one person with Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. Everyone's journey is different. Right. Everyone's experiences are different, and that's why when people come to the organization, we treat them all as individuals.
Right.
You know, and the other thing I think that we want to talk about is to make sure that people aren't treated differently when they have a diagnosis.
Okay.
There's a lot to life to live. There's a lot to life that's left, and I think our staff can certainly help them through that by providing those supports to the person living with dementia, their caregiver. One of the main things is looking at the person and not seeing the disease.
Right.
It's just so important to treat individuals with dignity and respect. And that's one of the things that, I can honestly say that I'm very proud that the staff that work at the Society do very, very well.
So name some of the other programs that you conduct at the Alzheimer's Society that people can take advantage of.
So we've got our First Link program, which is basically the first steps into the services that we provide. We'll do assessments, cognitive assessments on individuals who may have a cognitive impairment. We have our rec therapy program, which is activation and support for people living in the community, but also we bring people into the office to actually do some education and training as well.
All right.
Our Minds in Motion program has been a wonderful
That's
program.
a big one.
It's been fantastic. It really has. Since we brought that to the Sioux in 2014, it just continues to grow. When we started the program, we had 6 families that we were supporting on a weekly basis. Now we have 42 families that we're supporting.
Smokes.
And it's great because the person living with dementia and the caregiver both come to the program.
Right.
They're both getting support from people in that program. And then you're seeing that carry on through other aspects of what we do in terms of our education, our counseling, and it's a great opportunity to learn from other people who are going through something similar.
And there's a lot to learn. I mean, I think probably, maybe I'd ask you to speak for Bill, but don't you believe that also as a caregiver, Bill had to learn how to look out for himself too? I mean, self-care is important, right?
I do remember that, and then I especially remembered when I was caregiving for my brother
Your
Bob,
brother, sure.
because I was in Bruce Mines, and every day I would drive to the Sioux to be with him, to help him, to see that he got to work, to see that this happened, and the Alzheimer's Society gave me some really good hints, like paring down in the house and just keeping it simple, because when a person has memory loss like I do and he did and your mom, you can't think things through. You can't your ideas are there, but they're sort of hanging in the air. The words are in the air.
What you just said, I distinctly remember the conversation with my mother when she said, "It's all right there, but I just can't get to it."
That's correct.
Yeah, it was like it was just right in the distance and kind of fuzzy, and it was just foreign almost. Yeah. So as far as living well, activities, I mean, there's lots of activities going on as well. Socialization is a huge part of it as well. And keeping the brain firing as much as it can. Do you agree, Carol, that it's important to keep? We were fortunate enough, and not only was my mother receiving nursing home care, but we were actually brought somebody in to spend 5 hours a day with my mother, 6 days a week, because we couldn't be there. And this woman, her name is Marilyn, became like another sister to all of us, and my mother's best friend. They got along, they were funny, but she had my mother going on outings, and my mother never rode a bus in her life. She got a bus, they would go to the art gallery in the mall, as long as she could. And when it got a little more difficult, the outings would decrease, but then the mind games were still there, and I think that's really important, don't you, the companionship?
It is very important, and also on top of all of that, we want to be busy, we want to be involved in things, but we also have to recognize some days, like yesterday when I was talking to Bea, I said, I'm having a really bad day. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't. I just wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
And,
but you were aware of that.
Yeah, I was.
And you self-advocated.
And I have to step away and just sit down. And my husband is very good at reminding me of that as well. And so he just leaves me alone. He says, go and have a nap.
You've actually gone and advocated for people living with Alzheimer's, or for the Alzheimer's Society in Toronto at the
I had the
Ontario
privilege of going there to Queen's Park.
Amazing.
And advocating for the support that we need, the financial support that we need, and how important it is in the North.
Which is a beautiful segue. I couldn't have asked for a better segue, the financial support, because Terry, we know that the funding for Alzheimer's Society, you're only funded to what, about 75% of what you need?
So we're actually funded 55% of our operating budget. So we have to raise 45% of the operating budget to support programs and services. So we're raising a significant amount of money in our community here to continue to support the services that are offered from our staff.
55% of your budget is provided. Okay, so that's going to lead us to our second segment, which is coming coming up after the news on the show this morning. So Bea is going to join us. Bea is going to join us with McLean. Susan McLean. I'm so glad you remembered that. So we're going to talk about what's on your shirts. The Walk for Alzheimer's fundraising and how you can get involved and how you can help out. Lots of opportunities for volunteers, and we'll talk about that later on in the show. In the meanwhile, Carol, what a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for being here. And Bill, hi Bill, thanks for joining us today on camera. Terry,
Nice
we'll
to
see you the next time.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll be
you
back
so
with
much.
more after this on Mornings with Lou Ann and Tim. Welcome back to part 2 of Mornings with Lou Ann and Tim with the Alzheimer's Society. Now we're going to talk about the IG Wealth Management Walk for Alzheimer's. So Susan's here, Susan McLean and Bea Fioramonte. Tell me, Susan, what is your title with the Alzheimer's Society?
I am the coordinator of volunteer services.
And Bea?
Resource Development Coordinator. So I'm organizing all of the fundraising events.
Yes.
And we've got 2 big ones this month during Awareness Month.
Okay.
We have our IG Wealth Management Walk for Alzheimer's.
So IG is a national company, IG Wealth?
Yes, actually they're a national sponsor across Canada. But all of the money that's raised, I want to be clear that it does remain local for
so
all of our services.
no kidding?
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yeah, the only money that we send out is for research. Once a year we make a commitment to research.
Commitment to research.
But it's all for our services at our office on Trunk Road.
Wow. Did you have other sponsors there? I see some other names you might want to mention.
Actually we have 3 platinum sponsors this year.
Good for you.
Yes.
Those are not easy to come by.
Very, very pleased. Henderson Heating and Cooling.
Hey, they're right next door.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
And Evolugen is the old Brookfield.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
they've changed their name.
Right.
And Oldies. And look at these cuties.
Look at those 2 cuties. Where are they from?
They're local twins, and
Just
they were
hold
at
Gary, with that camera there. Hold that
They
up
were
and
at
get
last year's walk, so we were actually able to localize our posters this year.
Oh,
so
they're
talk
2 local
about a
girls.
cute picture to try and get people to come.
Wow.
So yeah, we were very pleased with that. Silver sponsors, the Shoe Fits. They've been with us since day 1 before I even was with the Alzheimer's Society.
Wow.
Sue Video and TV, Fairview Bus Lines, and Bioforest.
Thank you to all those
to all of the
sponsors.
sponsors. We also have bronze sponsors, but we're very grateful for everybody that participates, people that make donations, people that donate prizes to the walk.
So how does the walk work as far as fundraising goes? What do we do? What do people do who want to get involved?
Okay, we have
what levels of involvement are
we
there?
have a pledge form.
Okay.
And the best way of helping us with the walk is to actually get pledges with the pledge form, but we also, if you go to walkforalzheimers.ca,
Yes.
you can register online, download your emails, and collect pledges online.
That is okay.
So
I did
combination
that for
of the
November,
two.
and I'll tell you, with all social media, it's
Huge.
a great benefit.
Yeah, you can link it to your
So tell me
Facebook
again,
pages.
what is the website?
Walkforalzheimers.ca.
Okay.
So if you do a combination of both, because there are some people that still don't like to make donations with their credit cards.
True.
And that's understandable. But if you do a combination of both, you can really increase the funds that you
Those
raise.
pledge forms come in really handy if you're somebody who, for instance, works in an office where you could pass it around,
Yes.
right? Or a social club, bridge club, curling,
Yes.
whatever, hockey team.
Yeah,
Right?
and the advantage of doing it online as well is that you're reaching people that you don't normally see on a day-to-day basis.
True.
You may have an aunt out in BC
Well,
or
that's the nice
family in
thing.
Germany or something like that. You're reaching out to these individuals that believe in what we do or making a donation because we believe in it strongly as individual participants. And you can more than double what you're raising for the Alzheimer's
By
Society.
using your social media and online
system, yes.
Where are those registration forms available? At the office?
We have them at the office. IG Wealth Management has them at their office on Queen Street there.
Okay.
We also have them at all of our sponsors as well as the YMCA. So they're all over
they're
town.
all over the city. Just keep your eyes open for them.
And you can download a generic one off of if you register online as well.
Okay, great. So what about for the walk itself? When is it happening?
It's coming up on Sunday, January 26th.
Okay.
It's at White Pines.
Oh, in the gymnasium?
Actually, no, we have all of the activities in the cafeteria, but they walk the halls.
Oh.
So you kind of reminisce about your high school days sometimes, you know. And and we have all kinds of activities. We have face painting. We have a clown. We have brain activities.
Yes.
So there's some different activities that we're having so that the kids can stop and play that along the route. We have refreshments.
I see Good Life is going to be there. They're going to get us warmed up for the walks.
Steve's going to be there, and he warms everybody up.
That's nice.
And White Pines has been excellent over the years. Nothing's ever a problem, and they just do everything for us. We're very, very pleased to partner with them.
Excellent.
Yes.
What about volunteers? So you work with the volunteers. How are they involved with the walk? Do they sitting at the station, setting things up? How does that work?
We have a great group of volunteers that have been coming out to the walk for years, and we have like registration volunteers. We have people working in the cafeteria, bringing people to the different events, and there's also different stations. Like we have a memory tree, so there's someone that's selling the forget-me-nots for the memory tree, and so it's we wouldn't be able to do the events that we do without the volunteer component, because the volunteer component is so important.
The other thing is when you're at 45% of your annual budget, you need the community to help you, and unless somebody is actually coming up to you and saying, did you know that this is what we need and this is why, and when you have that human connection, and I think that's a big part of it too.
Huge.
Are many of your volunteers people whose lives have been affected by dementia or Alzheimer's?
Quite a few. Myself, it started out with my mom. 30 years ago, she had frontal lobe dementia, and so that started the process in our relationship as a family with the Alzheimer's Society. So we're always looking for people that have to volunteer. So Tim, you'd be just like me. You could. What
would you make me do?
Well, you could do a number of things.
What would not make me? What would you ask me to do?
Well, we have a volunteer visitor program, which we have quite a large wait list for, and you would visit once a week with someone who is in the early stages or to mid stages, and we're looking for quite a few people to fill that need, and I can't imagine, you'd be so entertaining.
That would be.
We could maybe have you do a whole group
I could be
at once.
Like in the first part I talked about my Marilyn, I could be like a Marilyn.
Yes.
And take people out on outings.
Can you imagine having Marilyn show up at a gentleman's house? It would just be,
amazing.
I know.
Wow.
Keep that in mind.
I will.
So we have that.
So that's to keep people company. I love that.
And with Minds and Motions, we're always looking for volunteers. You can work directly in the program as an assistant.
So that one you actually come in and you do it in the Alzheimer's office?
Yes. So we have.
You do like a training?
Yes. There's training for all our programs.
Okay,
for all, especially for the volunteer visitor one. It is a long process.
You need to learn how to communicate with somebody.
Yeah.
I did that Tipa Snow conference talking about
she's wonderful.
Learning how to communicate, and I'll never forget those lessons that she taught me were invaluable too.
So you're prepared. You're halfway there.
I am.
And so and we're going to our Minds and Motions. So then we have background volunteers in the Minds and Motion programs, because there is a refreshment aspect to it, and someone needs to get that ready and to clean up afterwards. Sure. And so it's just what we would talk to you and see what you were interested in and find a place for you, and we would have a spot for everyone.
You have something else that you could use volunteers for. It's your door-to-door program. Door-to-door. It's a door-to-door campaign.
Yes, Bia wants to talk about that.
You're going to take that one, Bia?
Yes, actually, this is our door-to-door kit. So if people come to your door, they will be identified by a name tag as well as the kit.
Yes.
And we have a receipt book in there that's actual, for income tax purposes. So our volunteers write an income tax receipt at the door for that donation. Now, door-to-door is a little challenging sometimes in January with the weather.
Yeah.
We've had volunteers coming in, picking up this week, and they're thinking, I got to get out quickly because it's actually mild this week.
Right now's a good time.
Last year was kind of a very cold and windy year.
But you're only asking people to go, what is it, maybe a block or two? Is that what?
And you have the entire month to do your street or a street in your neighborhood.
Okay.
Some people like to travel to another area of town and do a street that was a very lucrative street that's not covered.
You know what I like? I like to go to the streets where they have the fancy houses so I can just see inside and see how they decorate. But anyway, that's just me. So
But yeah, it is challenging to get volunteers to do door-to-door, but we have such a crew of volunteers that are dedicated that have been doing it for years.
Are you still looking for more? If
yes.
somebody sees this and says, hey, you know what, I could do a week and do 2 streets and no problem.
Yes.
I got snowshoes and skis and a parka. I'm good to go.
Definitely.
How do they get a hold of you?
Just giving us a call, 942-2195, and asking for Susan, and we'll get you a kit going and that kind of thing.
Could somebody else just pop into the office? Is that if they
yeah.
happen to be in the Trunk Road area?
Yes.
Because you're right there, such a Trunk Road and Cap.
Cap.
I always think of it like how to get to Shannon. Yeah, it's very, very easy to get to.
Yes.
Okay, so we got to remember this now. The walk is January the 26th.
Yes.
Okay, so those registration forms are available now, or they can go online.
Yes.
Door to door needs to happen pretty quick because if you're going to sign up, you've got a whole month, but it's already the 6th of January. I think the 6th is, Monday.
It's today.
Yeah, thank you. And then what else? Oh, just volunteers in general. And, and don't forget, it's Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and they need your support. Okay.
Yeah, fundraising, we have to raise over $400,000 a year.
What?
Yeah. So it's a lot.
It is. But you know what? We can do it. The Sault Ste. Marie, it's an amazing city.
Oh, yes.
It is.
The community
Very
is
generous.
Always
fabulous.
come through. Don't let us down. Okay. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Bye, Susan. Bye, Bia. See you next time.
Bye, Tim.
We'll be back with Luann in just a moment.